And in Telangana, for the last 12 days, there has been a chaos, a havoc. We have lost over 20 precious lives, 20 young lives, students who took their own life, who killed themselves because they could not deal with the trauma and the depression of the bad score that they got in the intermediate board exams. And you know why this happened? It's not because they didn't study enough. It's not because they weren't ready, they weren't prepared. It's not because they gave the wrong answers. It is because the system is broken. It is because the system let them down. And there was a big mix-up in the way the results were actually calculated and put together, leading in loss of 20 lives. It's only after the court stepped in that the government has now been told that the board will have to verify, recount and match these scores of all those students who have failed. But think about it. Almost 8 lakh students who appeared in this exam in Telangana, and 3.25 lakh of them failed. And the board did not think that there was something wrong with these results. This is what has been happening. Protests across the state of Telangana, in Hyderabad and other parts. Students are angry, parents are angry, political parties obviously see this as an opportunity to counter the government, to confront the government. But there have been massive protests for the last 3-4 days now. People are still confused. They don't know how this process will take place, whether or not they're supposed to pay, where are they supposed to go, how will it all happen, do they have to give the re-examination or the supplementary examination, or should they wait for the re-evaluation? It's a big mess. So we thought we should have one more conversation on this big story and get our panelists to tell us what exactly is the problem, where do we go from here now. But before that, let me quickly summarize to you the situation as it stands right now in this big story. The Telangana High Court has ordered retally of the marks. So now they're not going to be checking each answer sheet, but they are going to match it with what was the actual mark and what was put in the system. So we will move on and get to the other big headlines which are there. Telangana High Court has actually given a date of May 8th as the deadline. So by 2 p.m. on May 8th, they will have to come out with the new results. This obviously was because, like I said, almost 3.25 lakh students failed in their 11th and 12th, the intermediate board exams. 20 students have committed suicide after this. In the run-up to that, every day we had really shocking and disturbing stories coming out of students who would get 99, 98 otherwise and ended up getting 0 marks. Can you imagine that? Somebody who's been a class topper getting 0 on their result paper. The Chief Minister has already ordered a free re-verification of papers. So this is very important for all the parents out there. You do not have to pay this time. Usually, if you want the marks to be checked again and the answer sheets to be verified again, you have to pay for that. But not for these 3 lakh students. They will not have to do this. So that's broadly the headlines that have emerged so far. Let's go across to our panelists. Dr. Suman Kumar, Academician, joining us this evening. Khalikur Rahman, senior leader of the TRS. Prince Gajendra Babu, an educationist who's joining us from Chennai. And Prashant Pandre, a parent who's joining us from the Hyderabad studios. Prashant, I'm going to come to you first. Your child also gave these exams?
Yes.
Okay. Could you tell us what happened?
Basically, like it is, I'll be talking on behalf of all the parents. And let me tell you, as a parent, I am very disappointed. Not only disappointed, I am very worried. So from my child point of view, like he has scored reasonably very well. Like in fact, he has scored 96%. But comparatively to his intermediate first year results, it is very like he has scored less, especially in couple of subjects. And before all this came out in open, he has already applied for revaluation and re-verification. So let me talk on behalf of a broad spectrum of parents who are going through the current situation, which we are able to analyze through my son's, my child's colleagues and his classmates. The situation on ground is very grave. Let me tell you very clearly. The confidence in the system, both of students as well as parents, is at its low.
Yes, I can totally understand that and imagine that. And, you know, so much of uncertainty now. They don't know how things what will happen on May 8th. After that, where to go, how to go about it. So obviously, it's going to be a little complicated. Let me go across to Mr. Khalikur Rahman and ask him, what is the government's plan? How are you going to ensure that the students know what happens next? What is their role? Where should they go? Who should they ask for help? That the parents know about it. And what about those 20 families who have already lost their children? Okay, I'm going to go across to him in just a bit. Let me bring in our two other experts on the field of education. And Dr. Suman Kumar, it's also a reflection of the fact of how high pressure our system has become. The 20 students, you know, within 3 days, 4 days, took their own lives because they couldn't come to terms that they may have failed these exams.
Yeah, of course, it's some panicky situation created by the system, because the student appears in the exam and then he relaxes and he just assumes that he will be getting good result because he has done hard work. Now the system is penalizing him, and it is for the government to see that before the results are out, they should see that what kind of percentage is there, what is the passing percentage, how the students are doing in the exam, and before analyzing these all things, means once the result is out and all the political parties are making hue and cry, that is not the only hue and cry. That is actually they are bringing the actual situation before the public. Let's see how the system is working. Fault is definitely with the system, with the government. The student is suffering because of the fault of the government. And see the data which you are providing and all the leading newspapers are providing, and government was not taking any action at their own. The High Court has intervened. The NGO has filed the case and the High Court has intervened. After that, the government has agreed to go for evaluation, and that is also revaluation or retotaling that the government will clarify. But what is the fault of the student? 20 students have suicide. They have suicided. Now, nothing can be done to their families. The damage which is already done, that is unrepairable damage. Government has to be responsible for all these things, and without correcting the system, see, it is not the question of 1 year only. We have to see that such situation must not arise in future also. So everywhere, and you know what I used to call my own students, that it is very difficult to fail. Getting good marks may be a problem, but failing is very difficult. You are writing a good paper and you are expecting that you will be getting reasonable marks at least. But here they are getting 0, 1, 2, 3, and all those students who have scored 90% in the first year.
Yes.
This is the irony with the system.
Yeah, you know, I just want to, I completely get your point. And Chakali Raju from Medak district, who's a student who got so depressed about failing in economics and civics that he hung himself from at his residence. He scored 3rd rank, by the way. He came 3rd in his college in the first year, which is in 11th class. And then in 12th class, when he gave his exams, he scored really low marks, which is what he couldn't come to terms with. He failed in 2 subjects and took his own life. Akaram Miti from the Yadadri Bungir district ended her life by hanging herself. She failed in zoology and physics papers in 12th standard. Salaja from the Nizamabad district also killed herself for not getting expected marks. She got 847 out of 1,000. Still not happy with the performance, couldn't understand what had gone wrong and killed herself. Considered to be a good student in maths, in physics and chemistry. So, Mr. Khalikur Rahman of the TRS on the phone line with me. Mr. Rahman, please explain to us, how is it that the entire board, that all the top officials didn't realize that something was wrong. Almost half of the students who appeared in these exams failed, and they didn't think there was something wrong with this data?
Well, first of all, I'd like to correct you. It is not the half of the students who have appeared for the exam have failed. It is like every year, if you see, even if you look at, the failing percentage in 2017, 18, 19, it's almost been like similar. It's been around 30%. So, but this time, in fact, because what is more concerning is the suicide rate of the students, which is unfortunate. And, especially the opposition parties, because see, when it comes to the students, whatever the political party is, whichever political party is, they should not try to play politics with the, students.
No, 20 students killed themselves. Where do you see politics in that?
No, because what's happening is because the day the results were declared, next day you are seeing, the opposition leaders coming onto the street.
How is that linked to 20 students killing themselves?
Yeah, no.
So why are you talking about politics? But why are you talking about politics? Am I talking about the politics right now? I don't even have any other politician on this panel, Mr. Rahman.
May I intervene?
I'm not talking politics actually. I'm not talking. So that's the reason. Then immediately.
So then don't target your opposition. This is not a political debate. Think about the children. And you're sitting here and defending this. Sir, let me tell you, 3.25 lakh students out of the less than 8 lakh students who gave this exam failed these exams. So many of them got zero. And you're sitting here and talking about politics.
No, that's what the point I'm trying to make here. Then immediately after that, because our Honorable Chief Minister has already constituted a committee, they have already submitted a report, and every single paper is being, reevaluated and re-verified. So after that,
so fact, if you're saying you have already formed...
Why are you taking these steps in the aftermath?
Hello, no, because see what happened is that the day the result was declared,
all these steps are being taken.
Immediately on that day itself, the students have come.
One minute, please. Mr. Rahman, Khalikur Rahman, here is my question to you. You say that the Chief Minister set up this panel, they probed. Obviously, the committee that looked into it came out and said, yes, big mistakes were made by the system, that it is our fault, we were wrong, the board was wrong, the way they collated these numbers. So now, please explain to me, have you found out why was a private company given the responsibility of collating results when there is a government company that could have done it? Why was Global Arena Technologies brought in?
No, sir, ma'am, if you look at it, actually, what happens is because there is a system in every board and in every state. It is not just only in Telangana. So what happens is because, in fact, there are, the IT companies who are being outsourced specially to reevaluate the papers. And as far as this is concerned, so I think here, whatever, the committee has submitted the report, in fact, whoever the officials, are found guilty, they are, the action, will be taken against them. And, those who were there, they have already been removed from there, in fact.
Who has been removed? Can you tell us what is the action that has been taken?
So, in fact, because now...
One examiner and one scrutinizer. Is that correct? Yes. 2 people?
Yes, exactly.
No, but who gave the contract to a private company? On what basis? What about this private company? What is their accountability?
No, in fact, see, what's happening is now that because since the report has just come in fact, because, it will be, looked into, and definitely, whoever is found guilty, the action will be taken against them.
Okay, Prashant.
It is very unfortunate. No, it is very unfortunate that because...
Of course it is unfortunate. Nobody here is going to sit on this table and say it is very fortunate that 20 children have killed themselves and over 3 lakh children have failed, not for their own fault, but because of the fault of the system. Now, please stay on with me.
It is a very sensitive issue, in fact. I mean, we all accept that it is a very sensitive issue, and for which, in fact, yes, it is a very sensitive issue.
So I have a parent with me who's representing many of the, parents of the students who gave these exams, and he's been wanting to say something. Mr. Rahman, please stay on the line. Prashant, go ahead.
The irony of the situation is that the Chief Minister's statement came after 4 or 5 long days. There was no statement from the Education Minister. The students and parents were not taken into confidence neither at that time nor even today. Even in the decision making and the road ahead, so the parents of all the students or from the parents body have not been involved in the future course of action.
If today I had to ask you, what kind of clarification or communication would you expect from the board or the government? Is there anything that the parents want to know? Prashant?
All the important and the major stakeholders in this issue should be taken into the committee or expert committee, including educationists, academicians, parents, and somebody from government and administration should be formed, because it is not only about revaluation and marks. They are finding it very difficult to cope with the current ongoing competitive exams. This May month is all about all competitive exams. Already there are 3 or 4 private universities entrance exams have been over, and 2 or 3 are left out. Can you just imagine what the situation the parents and students may be going through? Will they be waiting for their revaluation and recounting of marks, or will they be concentrating on their preparation for their competitive exams? Can anybody answer from the administration side or the government side?
Mr. Rahman, is there a response to that?
No, yeah, absolutely, because now it is the responsibility of all of us that we should in fact, encourage the students to prepare for the examinations, and the revaluation is going on, and the results, of the revaluation will be out. And in the meantime, they should not, in fact, be, subjected to the outside pressure which is being built now. So that's the reason, because the students should be allowed to focus on their studies to prepare themselves for the competitive examination. And in the meantime, these, the revaluation results will be out, and then whatever is there, the government from its side is doing its best.
So, can I ask you, who is now re-evaluating? Who is doing it? Is it the same third-party company that you got? Is it a government unit? Who is doing it?
And it is the board, in fact. It is the board officials.
Yeah. The board officials are going to match the numbers on the answer sheets or check the answer sheets?
Absolutely, yes.
So why wasn't that done in the first place? Why was it given to somebody else?
Teachers are being involved, and moreover, because because even whatever the company was there, even there also, because they were all qualified. It is not that they were not qualified. It was, but in spite of that, there was, in fact, because there were some, the errors which were made, for which the committee has already submitted the report, which has now come. And what Mr. Prashant said, because, all the stakeholders, in fact, should be consulted with.
Okay.
I agree with, in fact.
Okay, I'm just going to quickly also go across to Gajendra Babu, also an educationist and General Secretary for the State Platform for Common School System in Tamil Nadu. Gajendra Babu, where do you think we have failed? Where are we going wrong? Because what we are looking at right now definitely seems to be a broken education system year after year, and it's not just about the Telangana Intermediate Board exam, results which have gone wrong. You see from the government PCS exams to CLAT exams to series of other educational exam results. Some of the other problem, papers are leaking for SSC, some other problem is happening. Why is our education system in such a broken state?
The entire executive has failed, both the political leadership as well as the officials. They have failed. They have slowly handed over the education sector to the market forces. They started handovering the classes. Now they have started handovering the evaluation process itself to a private agency. Once when you hand over to the market forces builds up the pressure that any child cannot bear. We should understand a child between the age of 16 and 18 are in the intermediate class. They are with full of imaginations. They have great aspirations. You have to mold them, you have to show them the path. Instead of molding them, instead of showing them the path, instead of asking them to spend the time in all the activities, you are confining them into a room. What happened to the 2001 report? What did the government do for all the 18 years? There was a very important recommendation which said that there should be experts to do a continuous study and recommend both to the government as well as to the parent on the measures that they have to take. They did not do anything with that report which was given in 2001. So if you are talking about all these happenings to today, now the government has to take a responsibility and bring back education under the control of the government. That is, the government should take the responsibility of providing education, evaluating the papers, and there should not be a market player in this. If the market players are there, definitely the lives of the students are in a big question.
Yeah, Dr. Suman Kumar, do you agree that our governments have repeatedly failed us? We've come to this point where children are facing intense pressure, competitive exams, school exams, so much of competition all across, and then we have an education system which is broken.
Actually, the entire education system is going under change. Government cannot do everything, but it is the prime responsibility of the government. I was just listening to the education minister, perhaps he was there, and he's saying that consistently see the result, 30% students are failing every year. Yeah. Telangana is a latestly carved state. And if you justify the things in this manner, that 30% students are failing everywhere, so there is no exception when this much students have failed this year also, that cannot be a justification. You have to see the system, why the students are failing. Either the teachers are not teaching well, or students are not in a position to cover up. So, of course, it is the responsibility of the government. Other thing, second thing, they have handed over these all things to a private company. Now they are saying that board officials will do. Why the board officials were not involved earlier? What kind of change you are going to introduce? Are you going to ask this private company to leave everything? And if there was any fault, either at the evaluation process or at the tabulation level or at any other level, first you try to find out the fault, that next year also the same thing must not be repeated. Another question is that fate of the students. There are so many exams, competitive exams are going on, and 12th or inter ISC is a very crucial stage. From there they go to engineering, medical or any other thing. Means there are so many doors opening after this 12th exam, and you have just forced the students at this crossroad where they are confused, they are not getting any way, and government is saying that it is politics. It's so funny, and see, it's very difficult to digest that government is sitting out from its responsibility and saying that its opposition is blowing the things out of proportion. And one more thing, that what is the remedy? That is the last point. What should be the remedy of all these things? Government is not talking about remedy. They should have, the court has fixed the time frame, that within this time frame we come out with certain result, so that the students must not suffer.
Right.
This should have been done by the government itself rather than waiting for the court.
Well,
And
actually, I'm going to take up the point that you
definitely
mentioned.
failed
I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you right now, but I'm completely out of time. But the fact of the matter is, if indeed the average regular routine fail percentage is 30%, if 30% students are annually failing in their 12th class exams in Telangana, that by itself is a big concern. And when the results come out, within a few days, if you see 20 students take their lives as the system just sits and watches, that too is a big concern. Let me tell you what happened in 2014. 8,000 young students took their lives. In 2015, 8,934, and in 2016, 9,474 students took their lives. Imagine that. I would have given you the latest figures, but the government doesn't give us data on student suicides anymore. But it is a massive, massive failure of our education system. We're in the middle of the election season. Think about it. Do any of our netas ever speak about the education system, about providing good education, all-round education, about saving our children and our students? and stopping them from taking their lives. It's something to think about because change must happen now. We cannot afford to lose 9,000 lives on an annual basis. Good night.